Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the podcast, the Drafted Up Podcast. That's Nick. I'm Theo. You can find us over on Twitter at DraftedUp_pod. More importantly, you can find the show, Apple, Spotify, YouTube. Search Drafted Up Podcast. We'll be there. Like, rate, subscribe, review. We appreciate it. Pound those subscribe buttons. Pound that like button. We always appreciate everything you guys do for us. Today, we're going to do a little combine, winners and losers. And we're continuing the Couch Scout series. We're going to talk about those BEEFY, those beefy boys. We're doing offensive linemen today. We're going to give you our top 10. Nicholas, how's it do?
It's going good. Different environment. House sitting for a buddy. I freaking forgot my notebook with my reports in it. So I had to quick jot down my top 10. Thankfully, I remembered it off the bat. Got height, weights. I'll give you a little reports, not much because I don't have my book, but I got my top 10 here, and I got everything else, so I'm here as much as possible.
You guys always made fun of me for putting everything in a notebook like an old-ass man, and now I'm here putting everything on computer technology.
I never bitched to you about doing reports. Should be done in a notebook because it's all handwritten. You're watching tape. It's hard for me to type stuff as I'm watching tape. It's way easier to jot down, so reports all in a notebook, but everything else is definitely done electronic.
I write my reports and put them then on my computer. I transfer them.
Nah, that's not worth my time. It's all in a notebook for a reason.
I don't have desk space to page through a notebook while podcasting. I have a very minimal area to do things. All right. Combine. That was last weekend. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Missed the recording day. Life's been a little hectic here lately, but we're going to kind of cram the two shows we were going to do into one episode today. Combine, you just want to kind of ramble through positions, or do you just got guys in mind that you want to talk about?
No, it doesn't really matter. I did write down a couple positions if you want to go some type of positions, but
yeah, we'll just kind of go over. Quarterbacks, I don't think anyone necessarily stood out, but I don't think anyone necessarily did anything to hurt their stock. I thought Jalen Milroe looked okay. I thought Shuck and Dart, they did well. Will Howard was really the one. He was my QB5. He did not look great. He was missing throws. So
I agree.
He's the one I'm worried about. Like I may have to reevaluate him and maybe switch move Milroe up to 5 because I thought Milroe was better than Gabriel. Gabriel was fine, but I don't think he did. But I also thought Quinn Ewers did an okay job.
Yeah, Quinn Ewers looked fine for the most part. Will Howard definitely was the most inconsistent guy there at the combine. I would say though Dart and Shuck separated from the pack though. That of the guys that threw, Dart and Shuck looked the best. I'm really upset Jalen Milroe didn't run. Milroe really had the opportunity to separate himself athletically.
We already know.
It doesn't matter. The top guys didn't do anything. No one ran except Shuck and like two other guys.
Shuck,
I think it was Brady
Shuck. That was incredible. Seth Hannigan ran.
Oh, yeah, Hannigan's run. Shuck running was absolutely hilarious, dude. Him getting hyped up, hyping the crowd up.
It only got to run in his group too, so he had the fastest 40 of his group. He had to run
40 in this group.
Got the crowd hyped up, and then had to run again 3 minutes later. Tyler Shuck, he's a great story. Really dive into him. You heard us talk about him on our Couch Scout, what he's been through. But you guys know I love Tyler Shuck. That is my guy. I'm glad the combine went well for him. I was worried that it would be a little disappointment and I'd just be gutted there. Running backs. They were like my biggest winners. Just the group in general. They proved like this hype, and they lived up to it. But there was 4 running backs to me that really stuck out. It was Bashal Tootin, who ran the 4.29.
He was fast.
DJ Giddens, who killed all the other drills. He was great on the broad. He had a second best broad, second best vertical. Had a really good 40. RJ Harvey from Central Florida. He flew. He looked way faster than I thought. I thought he had fast tape, but running that 4.3 at how stout he was. And then your guy, Quinshon Judkins, that juice wasn't on tape. And he looked more at the combine like Old Miss Quinshon Judkins than he did all year at Ohio State this year. But he, to me, was the biggest winner. Like, I ended up moving him up. He's my RB6 now.
Yeah, no. Judkins looked amazing, which I'm hyped about. He's still my RB4. I can't move him up past that, to be honest. Hampton looked phenomenal. He's so big and he ran so fast. So I'm hyped about Hampton showing up. Judkins looked amazing. So did Damian Martinez. Damian Martinez dropped a couple pounds, and he flew for a guy that's that big. So I do like to see that. Caleb Johnson was a little bit disappointing.
I disagree. I'm not worried about
I'm not worried about it because he's amazing, but he should have performed a lot better than he did. He definitely dropped the ball.
If you take his weight and weight adjust it to his speed, he ran a 4.5.
Okay,
and
he's the weight of Quinshon Judkins, and he did not run as fast.
Yeah, but that's not his game. I mean, it's not Judkins' game either. But
exactly,
if you take his weight and adjust it, it's still the 70th percentile for running backs, which is incredible.
I get that, but it's still not the performance that he should have had. He should have been able to separate from the pack and pull into the Hampkin category. He didn't look anywhere near as close as Hampkin did. Hampkin looked perfect.
I thought his drills were great. I still have him as my RB2. I wasn't worried about the 40. I was happy with the 4.5. I was happy he ran under 4.6. I expected 4.6. So he was under what I thought.
You are honestly the first person that is backing this guy's combine performance. So I'm glad to hear that, but I've heard nothing but disappointments.
Draft Twitter isn't upset about it. I follow a bunch of guys who aren't worried about Caleb Johnson. Connor Rogers also, he loved the performance. So he's another high-end draft evaluator. So I'm not worried. What he did at the combine matched what I saw on tape.
It did not. He was way more explosive on tape. He's way more game fast than he is straight line fast. His tape looked so much faster than it did at the combine.
Yeah. Receivers, to me, it was the two Iowa State guys. Jalen Knoll, Jaden Higgins. I thought they did great. They did all the drills. Like, you could bring up Matthew Golden, but all he did was run. He did the 4.29 way faster.
That's all we needed to do.
Kudos to him, because I did not see that on tape.
No,
his game speed did not.
He's not going to play that fast.
No, like, if you would pair him and Isaiah Bond on tape and showed that to anybody, like, who's faster, 99% of the people are going to pick Isaiah Bond. But kudos to Matt Golden there. But I thought Jaden Higgins, Jalen Knoll, they ran, they did the drills. I thought they were incredible. And I thought they propelled themselves into probably the second round range, and probably we're looking at receivers. I think they've moved themselves into like receiver 4, 5, 6 territory, whereas before I think they were outside of most consensus top 5s.
Yeah, they're definitely going to go second round. There's a chance late first for Higgins. He's the bigger one, correct?
He's the bigger, more tradesy guy.
Yeah, so
I thought Jalen Knoll I think is better in terms, but I think he's a limited upside. He's smaller, but I think he performed better. I thought he flew. I did not think he was going to be as fast as he was either, because he ended up running like a 4.35, and his tape he doesn't play like a 4.3 guy. He plays like a 4.4 dude, just running those small intermediate routes and just kind of doing like the Puka Nacua work, whereas Puka didn't run well, but game speed. But I was happy with Jalen Knoll and Jaden Higgins.
Yeah, they both showed out. But you brought up Golden. That's all he needed to do was go out there and show that he was that fast, because he's not going to play that fast, but to know the speed is there. And he was way faster than Isaiah Bond, who claimed he was going to break the record. So I find that absolutely phenomenal.
Another guy I want to give a shout out was a guy who you were really watching and into at the time. It was Tay Felton from Maryland.
Yes, sir.
I can't wait to dive into his tape. I know him and the other receiver, Kalen Prather, just a little bit from summer and just watching Big Ten games. But Tay Felton, he was all over the place. He was catching everything thrown to him, adjusting to badly thrown balls. He ran really good too. You pointed him out. He wasn't doing anything wrong.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, every time someone was doing something right at the combine receiver-wise, I'm like, who the hell is that? And it ended up being the name's just not here.
Tay Felton.
Tay Felton, yes, from Maryland. Yeah, he ran fast too. He's 4.3, so everything he did at the combine uplifted his stock. I'm not saying he's going to go early or anything, but he definitely showed out.
Yeah, we're looking probably early day 3 guy, I would think. Maybe he might be able to sneak into round 3, but I think we're going to be looking at him one of the first guys on like day 3, round 4.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to be a top 100 guy.
Anyone else in that group?
Shedeur Sanders interviewed like dog shit, which I absolutely love. He's always had it's not attitude or anything. It's arrogance, so it's something, dude.
Do you think it's he knows where he's going?
I don't care what it is.
I'm
Why
just
would
trying.
you-
I'm just trying to figure out what's going on there.
If you look at the top 10, let's say 6 of the teams need quarterbacks, and he interviewed like dog shit for 3 of them, and Cam Ward's going to 1 of them, that only leaves 2 out of the 6 for him to even go to. It just doesn't make sense because he's not the prospect that is capable of doing whatever he wants. He's not. And from what I hear of it, it's a lot closer gap to 3 than 1 for Shador. So, not rounds. I'm talking about quarterbacks. Cam Ward is by far quarterback 1.
Yeah, Cam Ward has separated himself as QB1 here of this class. And one of those teams in the top 6, Vegas, they traded for Geno Smith today, right before we recorded, a 3rd-round pick. So they might be out of the running now. I can't see them using their top 10 pick on a quarterback when they just traded for Geno Smith. We'll skip offensive line because we're going to talk about them here. Defensive line, Shamar Stewart.
Shamar Stewart. Yeah.
That dude's a freak.
Ran out the building, tested out of the building.
Yeah, his numbers pair up to like guys like Myles Garrett, Mario Williams, Jadeveon Clowney, to give you a retrospect.
And all those 3 guys went number 1.
Yeah, all those guys were first overall picks. Not saying that's in the range of outcomes for Shamar Stewart, but
no.
I think his just traits have pushed him into a top 10 guy in the class come draft day.
Yeah, he's borderline top 10 at this point. I don't think he falls much further than that, just by the way he tested and the size. You're going to have the people that are bitching about his sack production in college. He only had 3 sacks over the last 2 years. It doesn't matter. He's always constantly getting...
It's a scheme thing. It's just Texas A&M. Nick Scorton had a ton of sacks at Purdue, went to Texas A&M, didn't produce much in the sack department. Shamar Turner, Walter Nolan was there before transferring to Ole Miss. Like, they do a lot of, like... They have a lot of assignments, so it takes away from the sack production. But like all of these guys are, I think, top 100 dudes. If you're throwing Walter Nolan in there, like I even think Shamar Stewart, he played hurt all year, or Shamar Turner, the defensive tackle. I think he's going to be in the top 100. I'm not worried about the production of any of those guys because I think they're all really good prospects.
Yep, yeah, I agree. You could tell on tape that Stewart was getting to the quarterback way faster than most guys.
His pressure rate.
He's going to have sacks on the next level. Even if it's not double digits, he's going to produce very well for the NFL.
I watched Shamar Stewart push around one of these guys in my top 5 while going through offensive lineman tape.
Very true.
Linebackers, Jahad Campbell. I think he's the one who stuck out the most. Freak athlete. He's probably propelled himself into a top 20 pick.
Yeah, he was good. Demetrius Knight Jr. looked really good. South Carolina linebacker, 6'2", 235, great size. He ran a 4.5, which is pretty fast. Shuttle time was really good. Bench reps, he's strong. I think Knight's going to be a pretty good linebacker.
Yeah, a little older prospect, but yeah, he tested really well.
That's fine by me.
As well. Yeah. I'm saying if he does go later than he should, it's going to be because he's 25, 26.
Yeah, he's 25. He's a little older.
Yeah. Defensive backs, Darian Porter, Iowa State, 1-year corner. He was a receiver before. He tested out of the gym. He was really great, really looked good in the drills too. So, and then I think the biggest one is Nick Imaware, the South Carolina safety, who
for safeties, but I would say Maxwell Harrison had a bigger uprise for corners.
Yeah. He's looking now. We're looking at a borderline 1st-round pick.
Yeah, he might have bumped himself into the first, but so did Nick Imaware. He could arguably go first.
Malachi Starks,
he tested so well, dude.
Yeah, a rare, like, he might have been the best tester, like, athletic score-wise, if you're looking at the RAS. He might have had the best one. He was close to a perfect 10.
Are we going just,
defensive backs? Off the RAS score.
But just defensive backs. So I would say Shamar Stewart was perfect.
Yes, yeah.
He was like
off defensive backs.
Gotcha.
Trying to think if there's any others. Jahdae Barron, running a 4.3. Didn't see that coming either, which is great for him. I think we're looking at a top 10 pick in my eyes.
It's going to be rough because you got Hunter, you got Will Johnson, who might not go top 10 now. Barron probably passed him. I think Barron goes before Johnson. I got 2 dogs here fighting by my feet. The corners are great, dude. I love the corners.
Yeah, the corner depth, it's sneaky good. Like, we kind of lose focus in, like, the edge rushers and the interior defensive linemen. and the running backs, but the corners are some top-notch players.
Yeah, I think after the combine, I think like Siobhan Revel and like Benjamin Morris, like guys that have injuries you have to worry about, are going to fall a little bit now because a lot of these guys are showing that they're capable of producing from outside to slot. There's a lot of deep corners, so the injured guys might fall a little bit.
Yep, I agree. All right. You want to talk beef?
Let's talk some beef, baby.
Let's talk beef. All right. Same as before. We'll go 10 through 6, talk about our guys, and then do 5 through 1.
You got
go from there.
You got guys on the outside looking in?
Yeah, I can give you everybody I was able to do full evals on. I watched about 19 to 20 guys, but like I fully got done 16, 18 guys. 18.
Okay. I got 16 guys here that I know I did. But yeah, man, they're hating from the outside of the club. I can tell you that much.
Yeah, and I said to you off camera, but I ended up liking the class a little more than I thought. I just think it lacks top end depth, but I think like in the middle, like I think you can get a starting caliber guy in the 3rd round.
Yeah, I would say there's a couple guys in the 3rd, end of the 3rd even, that are really pushing decent NFL starting linemen. Even if it's a lower end, if you're able to get a lower end starting lineman in the 3rd, you're super happy about that production, dude.
Yeah. So the guys who missed my top 10 are Cameron Williams, the tackle from Texas, Wyatt Milam. He does both tackle and guard.
Guard tackle. Yep.
I think he's going to be in a guard the next level from West Virginia.
He is a guard. His arms are 32 and 1/8. He's not going to be a tackle.
Yeah. So retrospect, we're doing all the linemen together. Last year we did tackles by themselves and then we did interior on their own, but a lot of the guys in this class can go either way. So we just thought it, excuse me, it was easier just clump it all in one episode.
Yep.
Here. Jared Wilson, the center from Georgia, who I really like, but the reason he's down on my list, he tested really well. He only played 1 year of college ball. Like he was backing up Cedric Von Prawn. So he got that bump a little bit for me down, but I think he's a really good athlete. I think he's a guy I would take a flyer on in the 3rd round. Ozzie Trapillo, the offensive tackle from Boston College, big guy, 6'8". He's large. Anthony Belton from North Carolina State, another big boy. Charles Grant from William and Mary, who I think has tackle and guard potential. I ended up really liking him. I'm kind of upset I wasn't able to get him in my top 10, but he's got long arms, almost 35 inches. He's a little smaller though. I think he's 6'3". And with the lack of competition, obviously coming from William and Mary, I think it'll be easier for him to go into guard. But I think there's tackle future for him in the future. And then the last 2 guys that missed my list were Jonah Savanaya, tackle from Arizona. I think he ends up being a guard as well. I liked him. And then Tate Rutledge from Georgia. Just missed my top 10. He was my 11. Beautiful mullet. He was way more athletic than I thought he was. He tested really well at the combine. Real good tape. He's been a starter at Georgia there for 3-4 years. So he just missed. He was my 11th ranked guy.
All right. Yeah, my 11 was Wyatt Milam, who you brought up, guard tackle, West Virginia. I had Cameron Williams on the outside tackle, Texas. Charles Grant also had him, Anthony Belton. I had Dylan Fairchild right on the outside guard from Georgia.
I didn't watch Fairchild.
Okay, and then Jonah Sevilla from guard tackle, Arizona, right on the outside. So pretty similar guys we had on the outside. And you brought up Ozzie Trapillo, whatever his last name is. I'm pretty bad with last names, people. I apologize, especially with guys I haven't really heard people say their names because you don't hear announcers say offensive linemen's names pretty often. So
no.
It doesn't happen much, but I had Big Ozzie in my top 10.
Okay, cool. I love that. He's got a great story too. His dad was in the NFL and he passed away when he was like 3 or 4. But some of these guys I had to go to the school site. They'll have like pronunciations. They do. Yeah. Ozzie, he just missed my top 10. I think I had him at 14.
All right, yeah. I have him at 9, but I'll go here. I'll go, 10 through 6? You want me to read off here?
10 through 6.
All right. Number 10, offensive lineman in this draft. I have Ariante Ersari, tackle, Minnesota. Number 9, Ozzie Trapillo, tackle, Boston College. 8, Donovan Jackson, guard, Ohio State. 7, Jonathan or Josh Connerly Jr. tackle, Oregon. 6, Kelvin Banks Jr. tackle guard from Texas.
Okay, so at 10, I have Marcus Bowe, the tackle interior lineman from Purdue. 9, this guy's going to be in your top 5. Gray Zabel from North Dakota State.
He's my 5.
Yeah, I have him at 9.
Mm-hmm.
Donovan Jackson, guard from Ohio State at 8. Ariante Ursary, tackle Minnesota at 7. And Josh Connerly Jr., tackle from Oregon at 6.
All right, yeah. I knew you were going to be higher on Ursary than me with your Minnesota bias.
It's not. I thought he was going to be I thought he was going to be my top 5, but I have him in the same bucket as.
Let's just start there.
Donovan Jackson, Gray Zabel, and Marcus Bowe. I think they're all clumped together.
Yeah, I get that. I think he has a real potential, but he's got to work on, like, he's got great feet for a man his size, but he doesn't have the power for a guy that's 6'6", 330. Like, you can easily get under him and just move him like he's nothing, dude. And that really worries me with, like, NFL defensive ends, tackles on the next level, that he's just going to get pushed around because he doesn't have the base to really do it. But, hey, man, he moves, though. He's got a great base. He's got a good frame. He's definitely got potential.
So when I did him for the Spotlight series, I brought up how, like, he's like a true tackle. And he is. He looks the part. He's huge.
He's going to play tackle.
But I actually think you could. I'm leaning more into that he would be okay at guard. I think that would be better for his athleticism. It's just, can he play low? Because he plays high, and that's what gets the guys to push him back. But 6'6", 331 at the combine, 33 and 1/8 inch arms, 9.5 inch hands. I cannot find an age on this guy. There's no birthday.
Is that true? I didn't look.
There's nothing on his Wikipedia. There's nothing on the team site. There's nothing on any of the scouting sites I use. I project that he's probably 22 and a half.
That sounds
he was in the 2020 class.
For this guy. Yeah, man.
He's ageless. He's the ageless wonder. Ariante Ursary. Yeah. So strength, physical attributes, he looks the part. He's got the frame of an offensive tackle, and the foundation's in place for him to be an effective pass protector. He's an excellent run blocker, linear explosiveness. He creates movement and momentum in the run game. He's super athletic, and that showed at the combine. He had an RAS of 9.89, which is one of the best in the class. 9 foot 3 inch broad. He ran a 5.0 40 with a 1.75 split. So the athleticism's there, the traits are there, and offensive line is one of the positions where I'll value traits as much as I value tape. So that's why Ursary got the bump for me. His traits are incredible.
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah,
I'm really worried about his base, dude.
Lateral movement also, he doesn't move real well laterally. He's real stiff when redirecting, struggles with bendy edge rushers. I've noticed if you can get low on him, he can't get you in. His pass protection, he does play upright. And you can push him back if you get under him. Bull rushers, he struggled with them as well. Like the Ohio State guys, Jack Sawyer, JT Tuimoloau, really gave him problems this year. He's inconsistent also against pass rushers, and his hands need work. He hasn't got his hand movements down quite yet. Like sometimes he's got you. He could push right into you and you're not moving, or he gets his arms outreached and he stops you, but it's not there 100% of the time for him.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's a little inconsistent, but I do like his game. I think he has potential to translate pretty well. He just needs to figure out his base and anchor a little bit better.
Yeah, he has the tools to be the best offensive tackle from this class. It's just a matter of coaching him up. He needs to get into the right situation to fix any sort of the high pad level, the stronger base. Like I would love for him to get into Washington. Like they did really well turning Sam Cosmi this year into one of the better offensive linemen in football, whereas he wasn't that great a few years before. Dan Quinn gets in there and betters his game. Like I actually think that's a really good fit, is Ursary in Washington, but we'll see. I think he goes probably mid-second to early third. I think that's where he's going to end up falling. I can't see him
I
going
agree.
in the first anymore.
No, yeah, he's not going to go day one, but he's definitely going to go day two, regardless if it's first or second or third. My apologies.
Yeah. So Marcus Bowe, I had him at 10. You didn't watch him? Purdue?
I did not watch him.
Okay. So I'll give a little go here. 6'4", 303, 32-inch arms, 10.5-inch hands. Huge mitts.
Mm-hmm.
He was an offensive tackle at Purdue, but with the arms, 32 inches, I don't think it's going to happen in the NFL.
Yeah.
But he's really athletic. He's a graceful mover, moves laterally with ease, very nimble, excels as a blocker moving into the second level of the defense. Like, I really like that part of his game because I didn't see that a lot with all these guys, but he was great moving from the first level to the second level. Hands are really good. I thought he had one of the best hands in the class. He vicious blows, initial hard strike, very active. His hands are always moving, and they're always on something. And he's versatile. He's played experienced football at a high level at both guard and tackle in the Big Ten. But like the size, length, like he's only 6'4" with 32-inch arms, so tackle is out of the picture. Like I think the only way he's playing tackle is injuries. He also strength. He does struggle with power rushers and does have an inconsistent base. But I ultimately liked his game. Like I liked having him at 10. I'm glad he made my top 10. I've seen him higher in a lot of people's rankings, but I've also seen him outside people's top 10.
Mm-hmm.
But I think he's like a chess piece. Like I think he could play center. I think he could play guard. So I think he's going to be really good value in round 3 for one of those teams. Say they missed out on one of these top guys, say like the Bengals or the Patriots. I think he's a good fit in those scenarios.
I do like. Yeah, I'll definitely put him on a short list to watch here.
Yeah, you should check out Bowe.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out. Mel Kiper's got him 10 on his guard list.
Okay.
Yeah, so let me go with Ozzy here real quick. 6'8", 316. Huge dude. 33-inch arms, I believe, at the combine. So he's got the arms to play tackle. It's not ideal, 34-inch, but he's still got pretty good
bigger
arms.
arms from a guy who's 6'8".
You would expect that, but his hands, dude, are 10 and 3/8 inches. So his hands are mitts, dude. His 40 time is obviously 5'2". He's not going to run fast for a guy that's 6'8", but his broad jump was 8'10". Like he almost went 9 feet on a broad jump for a man that's 6'8". Dude, that's crazy.
Mm-hmm. He's a true right tackle.
Oh, he's going to play tackle regardless of what happens here. But yeah, he creates huge lanes in the run game. I've noticed that. He moves guys in the passing game. He's got a great frame, massive hands to get a vice grip on people, and he's gonna, like, if he gets his hands on you, it's really hard to get by him, dude. Just based off his size and strength, and his football IQ it tests out the water. So.
Mm-hmm.
I think Ozzy's going to translate pretty well as a right tackle in the NFL. Yeah. I trust his base. I trust his power way more than Ursary. That's the only reason I got him a little bit higher. I got him 9 compared to Ursary's 10.
Yeah. For a guy who's 6'8", he moves really well. Real strong dude. He's one of those few guys who's like a true tackle in this class, and I think there's not
many.
Yeah, I think he's specifically a right tackle. I can't see him producing that well from the left side. Like he does,
probably not.
But hey, like if you can get a plus side starter at right tackle, you're not going to complain. But yeah, I think round 3 he's good value for like Cincinnati. Like he feels like a Bengal. Like the Bengals, just the way they draft their linemen, they're just always big bodied guys. Like they drafted Mims a few years ago, and he's 6'8". And then they signed Orlando Brown, also 6'8". So yeah, Ozzy Trapillo, you are a Cincinnati Bengal.
Philly as well. Philly loves huge offensive
behind Lane
linemen,
Johnson.
Dude.
That would be a good spot for him as well.
Yep.
I also think New England, it would allow them to put Inouye in the right guard where he's a little more natural.
For sure.
Let's talk Donovan Jackson from Ohio State. We both had him at 8, I believe.
Yep. Yeah, I got him at 8.
Offensive guard, I think you agree. I can't see him. He played tackle at the end of the year because Josh Simmons got hurt,
and that's the only reason. He's a natural guard. Like he's 6'4", 320. These are unofficial because he wasn't at the combine.
Yeah. So I got 6'3.5", 315.
Yeah. So Wikipedia had him at 6'4", 320. But again, that's unofficial, not at the combine. But he's going to play guard, dude, and he's going to be really good. Like you said, he filled in a tackle for Simmons when he got hurt, and he struggled a little bit, but he looked passable.
He got better as the season went on. He got a little more comfortable.
Yeah, he got his feet under him. He got a good base,
and he played really well at tackle against Texas, and all those guys are future NFL players.
Every single guy in the Texas line is going to go pro. Even Oregon, he played well versus Oregon, and that's another line that they're all in the pros. But that was at tackle, and once he kicks into guard, it's all just way more natural for him.
Yeah.
So I think he's the third best natural guard in the draft behind Zabel and Booker. But I think he's really good, dude. I think he's got a pretty good future. He's one of the better Ohio State linemen to come out that I usually don't really care for Ohio State linemen. I find that they don't really pan out as well as I want them to. But I really like both guys in this draft. I like Simmons and I like Jackson a lot from Ohio State this year.
Yeah, Jackson has a pretty good floor. Like I wouldn't be surprised if he sneaks into the first round. I think he's more early to mid second.
Yeah, I think he's gonna go second.
Yeah, but he's got a great build, real strong frame, real muscular, well rounded. Prototypical guard build. Like you said, 6'3" and a half, 315, 33.5 inch arms, 9 7/8 inch hands. His hands, they're strong, heavy. He's always fighting at the point of attack. Really good in pass protection. Plays at a low pad level. Like I said, really good hands, stable base, great anchor. Handles bull rushers with ease. You're not knocking this guy off his base. Good run blocker. Point of attack, he hits it, eats double teams. Above average advancing to the second level, but I did notice sometimes he needs to work on his awareness. Like he struggled picking up defensive patterns and he would miss a blitz or miss a block. Finesse rushers, though, if he's going up against a defensive tackle who's got tools and has the hand movements, like if he faces Walter Nolan, I'm a little worried about him. Yeah. And then his technique, his footwork is a little inconsistent, and sometimes he does get a little too grabby with his hand, and his hands aren't in the right place, and a guy can get by him or underneath him. But ultimately, like strong base dude, I think he's a safe level, could start day one guard.
Yeah, I expect him to start right off the bat for a team at guard. I found most of his inconsistencies that you brought up, though, were really shown at tackle. Like his bad awareness because guys are getting around him. That's not going to happen when you're playing guard. No one's going to get around you because you got guys on both sides.
Yeah, especially if he has a strong center or tackle with him.
Yeah. If he has good support from one of the sides, he's going to be a really good guard. But a lot of his flaws are just, if you kick him in, they're not really flaws at this point. It's a lot like Graham Barton last year. Graham Barton was a really good tackle, but all of his flaws were because he was playing tackle. Once you kick him in, the flaws become very minimal. Yeah,
that showed this year. Barton was incredible for the Bucs at center.
Yeah, for sure. That's why I got another guy coming up at top 5 here. He's just so consistent, dude.
So Josh Connerly at 6, or did you have him at 7?
I had Josh Connerly Jr. at 7.
Okay.
I had Kelvin Banks Jr. at 6.
Okay. You have him at 6? Okay. I have Kelvin Banks at 5, where you have Gray Zabel. So those are the guys. All right. Well, let's just do Connerly. You have him at 7. I have him at 6. Oregon offensive tackle, 6'4" and a half, 311, 33.5 inch arms, 10 and 3/8 inch hands.
He didn't come in at 6'5"?
No, 6'4" and a half.
NFL Combine's got him at 6'5".
Huh? Okay, maybe they bumped up.
I was gonna say, I have written down 6'5". I don't know why. I got all my stuff off the Combine website.
All right, I was using mock draftables.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was using the NFL Combine
because they had everything, and then it had the percentiles. That's why.
Gotcha.
It made it really easy. But regardless, 6'5", 6'4".
Yeah, he's
still he is a tackle. I don't think you're kicking him inside to guard. But really athletic, fluid mover, quick, agile, good footwork. Especially with that Oregon pass game, because they're quick passers, so he gets out on the move on a screen. You don't want to be in his way. Excellent run protector. He was really good at guiding the run game. I noticed that, and the short passing game. Like he got out there in space and really got those plays moving. Speed, agile to do that, like to pull and lead the ball carrier. I thought he was a big part in Jordan James' success this past season. And he's a really patient blocker as well. Mirrors edge rushers, utilizes his feet to counter their movements. I liked his game at second round grade on him. I think he does end up going in the first. I do worry about his
I
lower
agree.
body strength. He did struggle with bull rushers. His anchor's not the best, and he's a little inconsistency. While his athleticism comes in helps in terms of like recovering when he misses a speed rusher, but down by down consistency needs to improve. He can't fully rely on that athleticism, and that'll come as he ages. Like he's only 20. He'll be 21 and a half come draft.
Yeah, he's young. Yeah, you brought up his, I don't want to say it's a weak base, but you've seen it at the Senior Bowl stuff when Mike Green got under him.
Yep.
And just body bagged him because Mike Green's not 6'5". It is what it is, but like he moved Connery like he was a little child. Because it's all about leverage. If you're going to get under a guy, you can easily push up and move him. And that happens a lot with Connerly and Ursary, who I had at 10. But yeah, I like their frames. I think they can become really good. He's going to be a pure tackle. He's not going to kick inside. Yeah. And like we said, there's not many guys that are just pure tackles in this draft. A lot of the top guys you can kick them in if need be. Mm-hmm. So if you're looking for a guy that can go in there, if he could sit a year, that would be ideal because like you brought up, he's so young. If he could just put a little bit more power into that base during the whole season and another off season, I think Connery could be a really good tackle for a team in the future. But right now, he's a little raw, so a nice sit year for Connery would be nice.
Agree, yeah. The traits are there, and like I said with Ursary, like offensive line is. I'm going to follow the traits as much as I do the tape, and Connerly's are there. I think Kansas City would eat up the chance of getting this guy. I think if there gets to a point where he starts to fall, I think the Chiefs are going to move up and try to bring him in because they have to shore up the left tackle position. Like last year, they drafted Kingsley Suamatea, and I think they're kicking him in the guard. They moved Joe Tooney. I think Suamatea is going to be their left guard, and I think they're going to go out and get one of these true tackles this year.
Yeah, I think moving Kingsley to guard is going to do him beneficial.
Yeah, I liked him better as a guard.
And like you've seen it last year, they tried to play him a tackle right off the bat. Week 1, and he just got body bagged. He's so young, he was super raw. And it's
he was a guy who needed to sit from the start.
Exactly.
And they
had him out there
against Baltimore.
Yeah, week 1, and he was just he looked like a fool, dude. So kicking him inside, getting him help from a good tackle would just be ideal. And I think Connery could develop into that nice tackle.
Okay, let's talk about Kelvin Banks and Gray Zabel.
Let's get it.
Zabel's your 5. He's my 9. So I guess I'll start here. 6'6", 312, 32-inch arms, 9.5-inch hands. He'll be 23 at draft. Played offensive tackle at North Dakota State. He's playing interior in the NFL. The arm length isn't there. But I just think, like, I don't dislike Gray Zabel. I think Gray Zabel is probably the safest guy sans Will Campbell of the group here.
Oh, Tyler Booker. I think Tyler Booker cannot miss.
Yeah. See, Booker's testing worried. He didn't test great. His athletic testing was bad, but he did well in the drills, which is why
I'm not worried about that.
I didn't knock him. He's in my top 5. But I think there's more of a chance Booker busts than Gray Zabel busts.
See, it's nice when Zabel has the versatility. He can play tackle, guard, or center. He's not going to play tackle.
I think center's his best position. I think he's going to be center, just like Graham Barton.
It's the same as Graham Barton. He is Graham Barton. That's why I have him at 5. He's so consistent. He's so good at what he does. And what he does is play offensive line. He's positionless. He's not going to play tackle, but in a pinch, if your tackle goes down, he can fill in. And you're not going to worry about Gray Zabel playing a game or 2 at tackle. He can play guard.
I agree.
17 out of 17 games. He can play center 17 out of 17 games. Probably close to an all-pro level if I'm going to be honest. I think Gray Zabel is going to be a multi-time Pro Bowler. He's going to start.
You're a little high. I just think he's lock him in your lineup. I don't think he's an all-pro or a Pro Bowler, but I just think he's a guy who's just consistently, you're just going to start him and not worry about that position.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I get that. If he's playing tackle, he's definitely not going to be near an all-pro, obviously.
No.
But I think at center or guard, I think he has a chance to do it. I think he's going to be a really good pro for a long time.
Yeah, you can make a case he's the most technically sound offensive lineman in the class. He's got really good technique. He's probably the best at creating leverage. I noticed that. Like,
dude, he plays
leverage
so
is king. Leverage is king, and for a 6'6" dude to create leverage, that's huge. He's got a great base. He plants those feet and you ain't moving him. He's
Yeah.
really versatile, like we've said. He can play anywhere in the offensive line, and he's pretty athletic. Good agile mover, good reaction time. He moves well laterally and linearly. You got to worry about the arm length, but I'm not so much worried about the arm length at center or guard as I would be at
No.
tackle. My more concern was the competition level in his hands. Whole collegiate career was at FCS, so we'll see how that trans over. Cody Mock, though, same school, and he's transitioned well to the NFL. But his hands, I thought he was more of a grabber than puncher, and I've noticed that when he does able to get his hands on guys, they slide right off and they get out. I think his grip strength is a weakness, but I think he's got an incredible floor. Like I said, I think he's a day one starter. I just don't think the ceiling's there compared to the guys I have above him.
Yeah, I get that. Obviously, strength of competition is going to be a problem with North Dakota State. But North Dakota State at this point is producing an offensive lineman or two every draft class.
They're the best FCS school in the world.
Yeah, for sure, dude. They're actually producing like legitimate NFL talent. So, I think he's going to translate pretty well. I think he's got a way safer floor than Kelvin Banks, who I had at 6. He worries me, dude.
Okay, really? Because I'm not worried about Kelvin Banks.
Raw,
he
dude.
is. He's younger than Josh Connerly. Josh Connerly will be 21 and a half about at the draft. Kelvin Banks will have just turned 21 in March.
If any offensive lineman needs a sit year, it's Kelvin Banks. I do not want to see him at all on the field come next season.
Which is wild because he has some of the most experience in the whole draft class. He's been a starter since day one at Texas. 4 years, 3 years, 3 year starter.
3-year starter at Texas for sure. But like he has consistently gotten better. But oh man, he's so raw and I think he was called for like 14, 13 penalties in just one season this year. So that worries the hell out of me.
Which is funny because that wasn't even first on the team. That's his running mate Cam Williams, who you think Kelvin Banks is raw. Cam Williams is a blue rare steak over there at right tackle.
Yeah, well, that's the reason I have him at 14. Like he's got the traits, but he's way more raw than Kelvin Banks. Kelvin Banks, who's I have at 6, but he's still really raw. But he has the frame. He's 6'5", 313. He's got 33.5-inch arms. But he's the guy that can kick inside too. If it doesn't work at tackle, he could play guard, I think.
Yeah, I think he can play guard. I think he'll be fine at tackle, but I think
I agree.
I even think in a situation like if a team has, say he goes to Minnesota at 24. Minnesota has great tackles. Brian O'Neill, Christian Darrisaw, rocking the Darrisaw today. Kelvin Banks will play guard, and I think he'd be fine. But yeah. I do think he has tackle. Like I think his ceiling at tackles is tremendous. Like I like his ceiling. At 6. Yeah. Super athletic. Above average lateral movement, above average footwork. Pretty versatile. He's been the left. He's played both tackle spots, but he's pretty much been Texas's left tackle consistently since his freshman year. But I do think his feet are quick enough that I think it can translate to guard, like we said. And I do like his hand work. I thought his hand technique and utilization in one-on-one situations was really good. But he does need to work on his upper body strength. I've noticed all of his strength is lower half. He's not keeping guys upright. And his balance, I think because of that, being so lower half heavy, he leans forward and overextends on run situations, and you can kind of knock him off base.
Yeah, for sure. His base is not consistent at all. And that comes with just being so raw. Once he gets a way better technique down, and that's going to be an offensive line coach. Like any great offensive line coach can turn Kelvin Banks into a superstar. It's just going to come down to if a team's patient enough and willing enough to put the work in here for him. These dogs are going crazy in here, dude. But I do like Kelvin Banks. I have him at 6 for a guy that's super raw.
Yeah, I think I ended up with a second round grade on him. Similarly, last year there was a guy incredibly raw in the draft class. He went first round. Tyler Guyton. Do you think Banks is? How do you feel about Banks compared to Guyton? Like, or you think Banks?
I would much rather Kelvin Banks than Guyton. Guyton, I was not a fan of Guyton at all, dude. He really, really scared the hell out of me coming out.
Honestly, Dallas should be drafting Kelvin Banks and then just moving Tyler Guyton to right tackle. and let Banks
Yeah,
develop into the left tackle, or even, I think Dallas's ultimate dream is to get Will Campbell, who we're going to talk about shortly. He's going to be in our top 5. I think he's the perfect replacement for Zach Martin.
Yeah, I mean, sure, replace one All-Pro with another. I'd be cool with that.
Yeah. All right, before we dive into the rest of our top 5, let's give a shout out to our friends over at W Energy. W, they pride themselves on full natural ingredients, no artificial flavors, no artificial dyes, all that good stuff. They also have a line of non-caffeinated stuff if caffeine gives you the jitters, even though this is jitterless caffeine. They do have some hydration drinks. If you just struggle to get that water intake, you don't like plain ass water, they got some flavored stuff there. They just dropped a new flavor this week for caffeinated stuff called Tiger's Blood. It's orange, strawberry, and coconut. Not my cup of tea, but that's a flavor profile people love. But W Energy, like I said, they pride themselves on full ingredient disclosure. It's a great product. If you need that little pick-me-up, it's jitterless energy. Be better with W. As Nick says, get that dub. And of course, use the code. Eat that dub. Yeah, whatever. Use the code DRAFTEDUP for a nice 10% discount. That's WDUBBY. Drafted up for 10%. They have a mobile app, or you can go to the site www.w.gg.
How dare you get my fake slogan for our sponsor wrong? How dare you? The audacity.
Yeah, I did not eat that dub, I guess.
Jameis would be disappointed in you, dude.
I ate that L.
Yeah, goodness. I'm going to have to let these dogs in at some point. But let's get going, baby.
Yeah, top 5. Round them off. Who do you got?
Here we go. I got Gray Zabel, who we've talked about at 5. Guard center, North Dakota State. 4, Josh Simmons, tackle, Ohio State. 3, Tyler Booker, guard, Alabama. 2, Armand Membu, tackle, guard, Missouri. And then 1, I still have Will Campbell, guard, tackle. Noticed how I switched, put guard first. Now it makes me sad. LSU, my number 1 lineman in the NFL draft.
Yep. I have Kelvin Banks 5, like we talked about. We have the same guys in our top 4, but they are flip-flopped each one. 4, I have Tyler Booker, the guard from Alabama. 3, I have Josh Simmons, the tackle from Ohio State. 2, I have Will Campbell, guard tackle from Louisiana State. And number 1, I have Armin Membu, straight tackle, Missouri. I'm locking him in as just a straight tackle. I know he's got guard versatility, but
he probably will be.
And that's why he is my 1, is because I don't think Will Campbell is going to be a tackle at all.
He's not. He's going to get Peter Skoronski. Will Campbell's arm came in at 32 and 5/8 inches, which is
a little bit longer than Skoronski's, but his shoulder, if you do his whole wingspan, it's a 0 width percentile.
There's never been an offensive tackle that had sub 33 inch arm. It's not going to happen. Will Campbell's not going to get his chance at tackle. But him at guard, I'm still fine with that. I still think he's going to be an all-pro. We'll get to him when we get there.
Yeah. You want to talk about Booker, or do you want to talk about Simmons?
It don't matter to me.
All right, we'll talk about Booker because that's who's on my screen right now. Alabama offensive guard. I'm at 4. You have him at 3. 6'4" and a half, 321, 34.5-inch arms, 11-inch hands.
Yeah, dude. Almost a ruler. His hands almost cover a ruler, dude.
He's going to be younger than Kelvin Banks come draft day. He will just have turned 21 at the draft.
Yeah, but
just
guess
a few
who's
days
not
before.
Guess who's not raw, baby?
No.
This man is NFL ready day 1 at 20 years old.
Tyler Booker, like I said, he didn't test well at the combine. In the athletic drills, they weren't there. His RAS was I don't even have 5.38 was his 40, 1.96 10-yard split, only 21 reps on the bench, 27-inch vert, 7'10 broad, 7'9" 3 cone, 4'8 shuttle, all of those below the 50th percentile. Not great. But the on-field drills, he looked the part.
He looked phenomenal. Dude.
Yeah, but he's one of those guys, I don't think he gets to that second level blocking. He takes really poor angles when taking on a linebacker, and he just kind of struggles in space, which you saw at the combine at times. But he's a tone setter, dude. His physicality is off the charts. He overwhelms defenders. You get him in a phone booth with a guy, you're not beating Tyler Booker in a phone booth.
No.
His hands are really powerful. They're heavy. He's got a great anchor, great base, bull rushers ain't getting through him. He's a dominant run blocker. He's a mauler. And and in pass protection as well, you're really not getting through Tyler Booker. I think he's another safe product. Again, another guy. I wouldn't be surprised if he ends up in round 1 at the back end there. Like, I think he'd be great for Philadelphia to replace Mekhi Becton at 32.
I think he's going way earlier than that.
I do. I think the NFL is going to be higher on him than I am, and that's not even because I have 4 second-round grade, but I do think he ends up, say, somewhere like Indianapolis if the tight ends don't fall to them. I think he'd be great with Quentin Nelson or Miami.
I think
not Miami. Yeah. I don't think he's athletic enough to be in Miami. They value too many moves, and I don't think that's his game. But
Miami's
him
not
in New Orleans at 9, I wouldn't bat an eye at that. It would make Trevor Penning look better. Yeah,
I think there's a legit chance. Him in 9 to New Orleans, him going top 10, I wouldn't bat an eye. I have him at 3 as my 3rd best offensive line. But just the way he plays guard, you're going to put him in there, and he's going to be there for the next 10 years.
He's a better version of Donovan Jackson.
For sure. He's way more ready. He's way more just, dude, his base. I love his base, dude. And like you said, like the phone booth analogy, dude, like if he's able to get you, you're done. You're just absolutely done. And there's nothing you could do about it. He's going to body bag you until the whistle. And he plays through the whistle sometimes. Dude. Like his physicality.
Feisty. He's a little chippy. He's a little chippy boy.
I love the way he plays, dude. He is aggressive. Yeah, dude, he's a man. He is a legitimate man, and he's so young. So he's not even really a man. He's just a little baby boy who loves beating the shit out of people. I love Tyler Booker, dude. I think he's going to go way earlier than a lot of people expect. 9, 13, 14 to Indianapolis. I think he goes pretty early.
He's one of my highest rated second-round graded guys.
Reasonable, yeah.
Yeah. All right, Josh Simmons, offensive tackle, Ohio State, 6'5", 317, 33-inch arms, 10-inch hands. This dude, insanely athletic. Elite lateral mobility. He handles speed rushers with ease. Really good in pass protection. He's got a quick initial step, good balance, strong anchor, really good hands, strong strikes, quick movements. I do worry about him in the run blocking. He does lunge a little bit. He needs to learn to stay with his defender. Sometimes he kind of pushes him aside and tries to move to the next level, and that guy, gets Trevion or gets Quinshon Judkins. He's coming off the injury, obviously the ACL injury, and then consistency. He only had 5 games of great tape at Ohio State at a prolific school. Before that, he was just at San Diego State, so he wasn't at a prolific college. But I honestly believe if Josh Simmons had played a full season and we got a full 14 to 17 games of tape, he'd be locked and loaded offensive tackle number 1 in this draft class.
Number uno. Yeah, no. I barely heard what you said, but I 100% agree with that last part. If Josh Simmons was able to get a full season in college, he would easily be tackle 1 in this class. And it's not even close, dude. Josh Simmons is a baller, dude. In his 6 games at Ohio State this year.
It was really only 5, though, because he got hurt in the Oregon game. So that wasn't the last game.
But those games that he played are good enough to get him in the first round. He's going to be a first-round pick with an injury that's doesn't seem to be as concerning as
I saw an interview. He says he's going to have like a private pro day before the draft, which will be huge for him.
Even if he's not 100% and he's just showing teams that he's still going to be half ready, dude, he's a lock. He's so good. He's my best pure tackle in the draft. I get you have Membu as a pure tackle. He can kick in if need be. Yeah, Simmons isn't going to kick in. He's a tackle, and he's going to be a damn good one at the next level, dude.
Yeah, Josh Simmons is going to be close to my top 15 on my big board.
The injury thing just a little. He's going to be 15 to 20 for me. Yeah. So yeah,
and I think that's the range he goes in the draft.
Yeah, I think there's a chance Booker goes above him just based off of guard necessity, and he's super healthy. He's ready to go right off the bat.
Yeah. Like this is the guy. If Miami wants to get an offensive tackle round 1, I think this is the guy they should go after. He's super athletic.
It's a good one. Yeah,
I think he fits what Mike McDaniel wants to do. But yeah, I love the athleticism. I love his balance. Great handwork. I just wish he worked on the run blocking. Like I said, he does lunge and kind of doesn't stick with his defenders. And then obviously the injury is a concern. But this dude, like I said, I follow the traits with tackles and guards, and this guy's got the traits to be the guy. Like I said, if he had a full season of tape this year, he'd be my number 1.
Yeah, I would definitely have him way closer to Campbell and Membu. I would have those three guys in the same kind of bucket, but I would definitely have him over Booker. I just have Booker above him right now because he's safe. Booker is 100% safe.
That's a fair assessment. I'm pushing I have a first round grade on Josh Simmons, and I heavily considered putting him at 1 off just those 5 games of tape.
Yeah, I only have a first round grade on the top 4 guys being Campbell, Membu, Booker, and Simmons. Zabel is the second round guy, Banks is the second round guy, Connerly, Jackson, all those guys I have second round grades on. But these top 4 guys, dude, I think top 20 isn't going to be, I think that's really realistic. And then after that is kind of, where's Kelvin Banks going to go? Connerly going to fall into the first round. But I think these 4 guys are for sure locks in the first round.
See, like with Banks, I do think there's a chance Banks goes before Booker and Simmons because of just his youth and tackle. Like a tackle, they're going to value tackle over a guard.
Yeah, and I get that. But Simmons plays tackle.
He's really athletic as well. But Banks is healthy. Simmons,
I get that. If Simmons comes in even a little bit banged up, I'm not going to bat an eye if people take Banks just based off of what he can be. But I think Simmons has a higher ceiling than Banks does.
I agree. I absolutely agree. But yeah, like if a team has similar grades on those 2 guys, I understand them valuing a guy who's not coming off the ACL injury.
100%.
All right, top 2, Will Campbell, Armin Membu. Let's talk Membu. We'll give Will Campbell the spotlight to being the last guy we talk about. He deserves. I
kind of disagree. I think Membu after the combine, he's really consistently been the guy I'm hearing about as the best offensive lineman in the draft.
I meant Will Campbell's been the top dog since summer scouting. That's why I was saying let's.
So I kind of think we should give it to Membu this time around. Okay, I think he's earned the top bill.
Let's talk Will Campbell then. He's my number 2. He's your number 1. I did say tackle guard, but I just don't think there's a world where he's playing tackle.
It's not going to happen.
I think he's a straight guard now. Like you said, Peter Skoronski, his arms, 32, 5'8", 9.5 inch hands, 6'6", 319. He's got the body to be a tackle.
Of a tackle.
But the arm length is occur. But excellent run blocker. I was always seeing him create lanes and tying up defenders. Strong lower body base, which is like your thing. You love that. I've noticed. And Will Campbell's is one of the best in the class. Super high IQ player. I've noticed
number 1.
Him just always pointing out things to the other linemen there in LSU. Yeah. Real good vision, pick up blitzes, communication savant. Like I actually think like his IQ level presents to be a center. I just don't think a 6'6", 319 dude's going to be an effective center.
He can't get low enough, I don't think, to be a center. He plays pretty high because he is 6'6". So even kicking into guard is going to be something that he needs to learn. But I think he's got it just based off his IQ. We're really into wrestling. And like when you watch wrestlers wrestle a match, they're always calling, like they're always communicating on what they need to do, what needs to be done, where you need to be in a spot. Will Campbell does that on a football field every single play. He is directing 4 other men and himself on where to go, what guys they need to block, what assessments they need to pick up. Will Campbell is going to run an NFL offense at some point.
Yeah, I'm going to be really intrigued how Garrett Nussmeier fares this year without Will Campbell. I loved Garrett Nussmeier's tape, and I'll tell you right now, if he had come out this year, he would have been my QB1. Like I'm that in on Nussmeier. I think he coming in next year, he's going to be the guy I'm watching the most because I have such a high grade on him coming in. But now I want to see how he does losing Will Campbell. He's losing Emory Jones, though. I'm not big on Emory Jones. I didn't get to do a full watch on him, but I'm not sure he'll crack my top 20. But Will Campbell, he's a leader. He's the only offensive lineman in LSU history to wear the number 7 patch, which is for the team's best playmaker. Usually just the guy gets number 7, but the lineman can't have that, so he just had a patch that said number 7. But that was his practice number as well. 3-year starter at left tackle. It's really the measurables. And he did struggle a little bit with speed rushers, but you're going to see that with guys with shorter arms. They can't get that outreach to stop a guy with bend. And that's the biggest concern with him and the arm length. But he's an incredible football player.
Yeah.
He's the guy.
The way
I value traits. That's the sole reason Membu's over him. He's got the traits to be a tackle. Campbell has the tape of a great tackle. It's just he doesn't have the measurables. But I think he's going to be an incredible guard. I'm not overly worried about him transitioning. I think he's a smart enough football player that I think it's going to be a smooth transition. And I think he's an all-pro. I think he'd be great for Dallas. If he falls because of this issue that he's got length issues and Dallas gets him at 12, good for them. Because he'll make Tyler Guyton 100 times better at left tackle.
Oh, yeah, and I agree. There are still legitimate mock specialists that have Will Campbell still going 4 to New England. And if he's going 4, he's going to be a tackle. New England's going to at least attempt him there. There's no way they pick a guard 4. I just can't see that happening with what New England needs.
Quentin Nelson went 5, and he's a guard.
Yeah, I get that. I don't think Will Campbell is
Quentin Nelson. Yeah, I agree.
Quentin Nelson is
a whole nother breed.
Yeah, he's one of the greatest offensive linemen to ever play the NFL. Will Campbell, though, is going to be amazing. And unfortunately, it's going to come from guard. It is what it is. And you've seen it last year with Tennessee. They needed a tackle, and they did not kick Peter Skoronski out to tackle. They kept him at guard, and they just signed some guy to play at tackle.
Well, they drafted J.C. Latham.
Well, no, I get that, but I'm saying last year one of their tackles got hurt and they didn't kick Skoronski out. They just kept him at guard. It's because of his arm size. If you look at the way he played in college, he's an offensive tackle. Unfortunately, he plays a little bit high and his arms are a little bit small, so he can't deal with pass rushers that are quick, bendy, that are just freak athletes because of that issue. When you kick him into guard, that's not going to be an issue. And then essentially he has no falls because he's playing guard, only that he plays a little bit high. Yeah, like you said, his base is what you need out of an NFL lineman. That's really what I'm looking for NFL like traits. If you can anchor yourself and you have the mitts to stop 300-pound grown men, I think you're going to be a pretty good offensive lineman. That's what it's coming down to. So I do like him. Obviously, Membu tested out of the fucking building in fucking Indianapolis
at the combine. Yep.
Yeah, so I get why people are putting him on, and he's going to play tackle. He's going to get his chance to tackle because of his arms. They're 33.5 inches. And that's what it comes down to. He's smaller than Campbell, height-wise. Yep. He weighs a little bit more, but he's so explosive, dude. And you've seen it in the combine. He ran under he ran like a 4.8?
4.91.
That's crazy, dude.
He had the second best RAS score, and I keep referencing RAS. That means relative athletic score, for those of you keeping track. And his was the second best of the offensive line class behind Ariante Ursary. But
Ursary moves so well, and he has great feet,
But Armin Membu's tape blows Ariante Ursary's out of the water, and I like Ursary. I do. But at Membu, I didn't want to buy into the hype. So, like, I was kind of, when I started watching, like, this guy's not Will Campbell. This guy's not Kelvin Banks. And I was like, there's no way. Like, everybody's, like, pushing Armin Membu because of the draft stuff. And I'm watching, like, okay, this dude's got it. Yeah. He was the guy, though, who struggled with Shamar Stewart. I was watching Shamar Stewart push him into the backfield a handful of times. But, I saw Will Campbell struggle with Kyle Kennard from South Carolina at times, too. So it comes and goes. But 4.91, 40, a 1.74 10-yard split, 31 bench reps at 225, 34-inch vert, 9.7 broad. Really good pass protection. Only 3 sacks led up in nearly 2,000 career snaps. And then he's competitive. You brought up Tyler Booker being chippy and feisty. Armin Membu, same way.
He's the same way, dude. Yeah.
Played through the whistle, not afraid to get into a little scuffle afterwards. Hey, the hype was real. I bought into it. Obviously, the height is a little bit of a concern, only 6'4", but all of his other stuff is close to or hits thresholds. 332 pounds, 33.5-inch arms, 9 3/4 inch hands. Also young. He'll just like Booker. He'll just turn 21 right before the draft. He's a little raw as well, but
he's raw.
I hope he kind of fixes. He does lunge a little bit. I hope he develops more of a hand technique, because right now he's just kind of throwing them. No real mindset there. But the tools are there. The traits are there. Like I said, the traits are there for him to be. I think he could be a top level plus starter at left tackle.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, there's not a trait that this guy doesn't have.
Miami's got to get this dude.
It's not going to happen at 13.
Yeah,
You got to trade up.
You got to figure it out. This is the guy Mike McDaniel needs at offensive tackle.
Yeah, when you brought up Simmons going to Miami, like I wish Membu would fall to 13. It's just not going to happen. Membu's going to be a top 10 pick. Campbell's probably also going to be a top 10 pick at the end of the day. I think both those guys go top 10.
I agree.
Yeah, I think Campbell's just his traits, his ability is going to get him in the top 10. Even if he's a guard, it doesn't matter at the end of the day.
I think the furthest both of them fall is 12. I think that's their floor, is Dallas.
I agree.
If either of these guys are on the board for Dallas, they're taking them.
I mean, I wouldn't even count out Chicago taking one of these guys. I get they just traded for 2 offensive linemen. But if you slide Campbell or Membu into guard on that line,
Chicago needs a tackle, so Membu makes sense for them. They got Joe Tooney, he's a guard.
You could slide Tooney out to the outside.
Yeah, but the Super Bowl really showed that he's not handling.
That. But if you have him playing next to Campbell, I think that line would be amazing. But even Membu, it doesn't matter.
I'd rather just give Campbell the shot at tackle over Tooney.
I don't know about that. But yeah, Membu, dude. Oh my god. I really like his traits, but he needs to work on all of his techniques. Like he doesn't. Mm-hmm. There's not a trait he doesn't have, but there's so much techniques he needs to learn. I hope he gets blessed with an amazing coach that could just teach him the way of the NFL, because he's gonna flourish if that happens, dude.
Mm-hmm.
If he ends up going into a really good spot where he's got another guy next to him and a really good coach that has his back at the end of the day, Membu's probably going to be the best offensive lineman in the draft.
Yep. He's so traitsy, but he's a coach's dream. He's a moldable piece of clay, and that's why I put him one, because of the traits. Just because I think he is a straight tackle. I think that's where he'll be from day one, with the option to kick inside, but the option to play tackle is more relevant than it is for Will Campbell. Though Will Campbell's arms are longer than Joe Tooney's, so if Chicago gets him, that's his best shot at being a tackle.
That is very true. But I think Will Campbell just obviously has a safer floor than Membu, where Membu, he's just all traits. He's not technique, where Will Campbell has everything. Will Campbell's phenomenal technique. He's phenomenal traits. He just he's lacks the size, unfortunately. Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, I'll take Will Campbell's ability at the end, like on my football team. He's going to make any team offensively better, and he's going to be able to call out. You really brought out like LSU, and you're worried about how the offense is going to run without Campbell. People really worried about Philadelphia's offense when Kelsey retired. And it's almost the same thing, where Campbell was running their offense from the offensive line position. Mm-hmm. Kelsey was making every adjustment, everything that he was calling out, every block, every player that needed to be like picked up. And that's what Campbell does on an offensive line. He makes sure everybody's just doing the right job. And if you have that ability, it doesn't matter if you're playing guard, tackle, center. You're going to be on an NFL team.
Yeah, Campbell and Membu they're both going to be in my top 10 when I drop my final big board.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
All right. That's it. Top 10 offensive linemen.
Beef boys.
Yeah, the beefy boys. We'll quick run through that. At 10, I had Marcus Bowe, the offensive guard center from Purdue. I had Gray Zabel from North Dakota State, guard center from at 9. Donovan Jackson, guard, Ohio State at 8. Ariante Ursary, offensive tackle, Minnesota at 7. Josh Connerly Jr., offensive tackle from Oregon at 6. Kelvin Banks Jr., offensive tackle from Texas at 5. Tyler Booker, guard, Alabama at 4. Josh Simmons, tackle, Ohio State at 3. Will Campbell, guard, maybe tackle, from LSU at 2. And then Armin Membu, tackle from Missouri at number 1.
All right, my top 10 was, who was it? We got number 10, Ariante Ursary, tackle, Minnesota. 9, Ozzie Trapio. I cannot pronounce that guy's last name. It's not going to happen. Doesn't matter. Big Ozzie from Boston College, offensive tackle. At 9, number 8 was Donovan Jackson, guard, Ohio State. 7, Josh Connerly Jr., tackle, Oregon. 6, Kelvin Banks Jr., tackle, guard, Texas. 5, Greg Zabel, guard, center, North Dakota State. 4, Josh Simmons, tackle, Ohio State. 3, Tyler Booker, guard, Alabama. 2, Armand Membu, tackle, guard, Missouri. And then 1, Will Campbell, guard, maybe tackle, LSU. There it is. Big Beef Boys in the bag, baby.
Yeah, Beefy Boys in the books. We had the same top 4, just flipped each part there.
Yeah, flipped around.
Really, the biggest difference
that makes sense to me. I think that makes a lot of... I think there's a really big gap after the top 4.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's reasonable. I see Grace Abel a little differently than you, but I still like him as a football player. I just think lack of ceiling there for him is why I have him a little lower, and you feel that way about Ursery, who I have a little bit higher than you do. There we go. Yeah, Beef Boys, and those are just 10 of them. There were some good ones. Tate Rutledge, he was probably my favorite watch just because he had an amazing mullet mustache. He's a hoot out of Georgia. I think he's going to be a really good football player.
The mullet is nice.
Yeah, mid round 3, early round 4. I think he's a good get.
I think he's a third round guy. Yeah. I think we're going to get probably close to 15 to 18 day 2 guys, like day 1 and 2 together. So the top 3 rounds, 100 picks, I think 8 of them are going to be offensive linemen. Yeah,
no, that's fair. Yeah, it's like I said, beginning of the show, I was really impressed with how deep the class is. It's lacking a superstar. There's no Joe Alt. There's no Troy Fatanu. There's no the other guy, Talise Fawanga.
Or but that's just
even J.C. Latham. I think Latham's still tackle 1 if he would be in this class. But
I agree.
Membu, good football player. We're really impressed. Super Tracy. Will Campbell, incredible football player. Lacks length, but sometimes you just got to trust the tape, which is what I said during the running back episode. So we'll see how this class turns out. I think there are some hidden gems in here as well.
This offensive class almost defines the actual draft class itself.
That's true.
There's Travis Hunter and Abdul Carter, but I get Abdul Carter's really good. Is he Myles Garrett? Like, is he that kind of guy? I don't know. I think he's really good, but this draft class just really lacks top end superstars. But it's so deep, dude. Like, I really like this draft class. And this offensive line class really kind of just shows how this draft class is. Like, there's a good amount of guys at the top. I think the top 4 guys are in their own bucket. But after that, from like 5 to freaking 16, you can kind of throw out whoever you want. And it's just super deep.
I don't think I'm going to have a lot of first-round graded guys in this class, but I think the meat and potatoes of this draft is going to be day 2 and early day 3. Like your 2 through 4. I think there's going to be a ton of good football players.
Yep. This draft class is all about getting good guys in the 2nd, the 3rd, the 4th, maybe even the 5th round. And that's how good teams get better. You need to hit on these middle round draft picks like Philly does, like Kansas City does, like New England used to, like Baltimore always has. Baltimore's always hitting on mid-round guys, dude. And that's just how you make your money in the NFL. So, and there's a lot of offensive line, defensive line, corners, the tight ends, the running backs, dude. The running backs are going to go 6-round deeps. This draft class is just super deep. I like it.
Yeah. The more tape I watch, the more impressed I am overall with this class. I was a little, everyone wants to, the class is weak, and they're just focused on, the quarterback class is bad.
And that's the problem,
Everywhere else is pretty rock solid.
Receivers. But that's another thing. Like, people look at the quarterbacks, they look at the receivers.
Yeah. But look at the running backs, brother.
Look at the running backs, look at the tight ends, the defensive ends, the defensive tackles, the offensive linemen in general. The cornerbacks are crazy, dude.
Yeah.
The linebackers are starting to come up, dude. The linebackers, there's a couple good guys. I do like them.
Yeah, so we'll be doing tight ends next. I don't know if that'll be our first or second episode next week, and then we'll do a mock. We'll either do an actual mock or we'll do a dynasty mock. I know you brought that up. Do something a little different, something a little lighthearted there. Just throw out an easy podcast, an easy listen for you guys. But that'll do it. Beef Boys offensive line in the books. Drafted Up podcast. You know where to find us at Drafted Up underscore pod.
You got it. The guy who came up with the handle. You got it, brother.
Yeah. Drafted Up underscore pod over on Twitter. The show, that's the important thing. Apple, YouTube, Spotify. Search Drafted Up podcast. We're there. Like, rate, subscribe, review, share, all that good stuff. We appreciate you guys. Thanks for listening. We'll catch you next week. We'll be back with 2.
Hell yeah. Adios. Bye.